So now we're going to apply some basic effects to these vocals so that they sound really competitive in the music industry. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically add reverb. We're going to do a couple different delay options for the background or the lead stacks that we did versus the lead. And we're going to do a thing called parallel compression and some EQing. So let's take a look here at our first lead track, and I'm just going to solo this one. So we have these two here. So because I did that cut earlier to do the tuning, I'm actually going to make a track stack for these two so that I can process them together. We're going to do summing stack. The difference between folding and summing is that folding will just create a folder for organization. Summing is also for organization, but creates a new output bus so that all these audios in the folder, all these audio tracks in the folder funnel to a new output so you can affect them all at the same time. In this case, it's just the two tracks that are kind of just the one track, right? Since it's like a punch in there, different tuning. So I'm going to unselect those in solo mode. And sum 3 here, I'm going to relabel as our lead. Sum 2 will be lead dubs, our lead doubles there. So the lead, since we're just the one vocal, I'm going to actually go into the mixer here and I'm going to bypass. I'm going to bring my pitch correction over to the bus, and I'm going to bring my compression over to the bus, and I'm going to bypass all the other effects in here so that technically I really need somebody. It's dry again, right? So what we want to do is we want to get this vocal sounding really cool and pro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some new buses. So we're going to add, let's go back to the reverb bus. We're going to add that now to our lead stack. Not the double stack, but just the lead. I'm going to add a new bus, bus 4 here, and I'm going to do what's called a ping pong delay. And I'm going to use that using all Logic stuff, really simple stuff here. I'm going to add an echo, which is just the Logic basic stock echo plugin. And let's see how this sounds. I really need... Bust it in a little bit. I really need somebody. Pretty classic. It's got a nice little feedback tail, and this has a color slider on it, so you can basically, if you go to the right and go in the positive numbers, it'll take out low end and give it like a filter. If you go into the negative numbers, it takes out high end and gives it a different kind of filter, which is kind of cool. I really need somebody. But we're going to leave it in the middle because I'm going to EQ this a little bit. So I have this echo going to an 8th note pattern, which is great. I'm going to pull this down one block here, and I'm going to add an EQ by clicking on the EQ window. And this is on the main output here of this new bus that we've created. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out some lows up until about 200, and I'm going to cut out some highs. And this is why I'm doing it on the EQs, because I want to filter both ends. That particular echo only allows me to filter one side. I really need somebody. Yeah. So I cut it pretty high up there till about almost 400, and cut out these lows till about 32 or 3,200. And it gives it like kind of like a telephony vibe, and it's echoing. Now to get the ping pong, we want to get it basically going left and right, because right now the echo is just rolling down the center. So I'm going to add the tremolo plugin, which is under modulation, and I'm going to add it here. And this is going to give us a panning effect, because its default setting is to basically, the cool thing about this tremolo is that most tremolo is just volume automation for both sides. You can split them so they work opposite timing, which is the default. So let's hear what that sounds like. I really need somebody. Yeah. So you hear the panning now with the delay, and the lead vocal is going straight down the center of the audio path, and that gives us a nice little dancing around. It's coming in a little hot, so let's pull it down. So let's see what we got here now. I really need somebody. Yeah. Gives it a little wetness, which is what we want. And we don't want to apply this to the backgrounds. We just want to do this to the single main lead. Now, I added bus 1 here to the reverb, right? I'm actually going to change this and go to a new reverb. We're going to add, again, the chroma verb. Going to do kind of similar settings. I'm going to add the decay up a little bit. And I'm going to leave everything else the same. Maybe add some of these highs back in. And I'm going to cut some lows out. I really need somebody. Yeah. So let me bypass the ping pong delay. Someone just like you. So it's a real big reverb. It sounds really nice and lush. I really need somebody. But we actually don't want it to be stereo. We want to make it mono. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the utility gain plugin here. My default is set to have the phase inverted, so you want to turn that off if yours is the same, which it probably is not. And I'm going to add this mono button and turn that on. So now since it's after the reverb in the chain on the reverb bus, it's going to take that reverb signal and make it totally mono. If you put it before, it would only make the signal going into it mono, but the reverb is still stereo, so it's going to create that stereo width. We actually don't want that on the lead vocal. This is a really pro tip here. This is how Chris Lord Age does it. Something I discovered on my own, which is really cool. I was pretty proud of that. But what we're going to do here is we're going to balance the reverb that's in mono with the ping pong delay to give it a nice rich sound. So we kind of get more tonality through the delay kind of carrying through to give a nice wetness to it. And the reverb is going to be in mono to kind of give us like a nice reverb tail. So they work together in a sense. You don't want to go overpowering with them. They're both used pretty subtly. So let's hear what we got. I really need somebody. Yeah. There's the ping pong. Let's bring in the reverb. Someone just like you. So I'm going to pull that back a little bit, and it's sounding pretty nice and wet. It's going to be nice and big. I really need somebody, yeah. Cool. I'm going to mute the stacks that we did for now, and let's hear this real quick in there. I really need somebody. Could probably pull the delay back a little bit. I really need somebody, yeah. Gonna bring it up just a pinch more, the delay. Someone just like you. Keep going up. I really need somebody, yeah. Cool. Now the last thing we're gonna add to this is called parallel compression. I'm gonna add a new bus. I'm gonna throw compression on here, and I'm gonna basically slam it really hard. I'm gonna turn the attack almost all the way up. I'm gonna turn the release almost all the way down, and I'm actually gonna switch us to the vintage opto. It's got a little more color to it, this compression, and we're gonna basically turn the threshold pretty far down and the ratio really far up. So we wanna compress it a lot. We wanna give it really heavy compression so that when we slowly add the bus into it, we're mixing in a really hard compressed layer. This also gives it more volume, gives it more attack and crispiness, and a really upfront sound. So if you're having a hard time getting your lead vocal to really shine in your mix, this is an absolute pro tip. It's gonna take, because we're doing it on a bus, it's not gonna do it with the delay and everything. It's gonna do it before the delays or separate from the delays. So you get that dryness, the dry signal to really cut through. So let's hear it. I really need somebody, yeah. Really squash it even more. Ratio all the way up, threshold all the way down. I really need somebody, yeah. You hear the difference? It adds a little more fullness and volume, obviously, but someone just like you. It's kind of got just a little more fullness. It's a subtle thing, but it really makes a huge difference. Now, real quick, we're gonna throw some effects on this, on our backups here, our doubles, I should say. I'm gonna keep the pitch correction on those individually because they're two separate takes. They're hard panned out. I'm gonna move the compression over to the bus output for these two takes. I'm just gonna remove the compression off of both of them before, and let's hear these by themselves. I really need somebody. Cool. Timing's not great, but for the sake of what we're doing here, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I would normally redo that. And we're gonna add it to the original reverb bus. And now this is going to the stereo reverb. So we have two reverbs going on. The lead has a mono and the backgrounds have a stereo. We're not gonna add delay to these. We just wanna get that reverb in the stereo field to fill out nicely from these, just to kind of give it more volume. So we're basically trying to create like a pyramid or a triangle of audio that has like the lead vocal in the middle with the delay dancing around it, with the reverb in the middle. Then we have our vocal stacks that are doubling this, that are off to the side, going to a reverb that's off on the side. So now we're gonna have a nice full kind of audio frequency of sound hitting you. So let's hear them all together. I'm gonna add the reverb bus here. I really need somebody, yeah. Sounding great already. Someone just like you. Oh, so because I copied over this compression from a mono track. It kept it in mono, so I need to change it to stereo. We're not getting the full stereo spectrum from the 2 tracks. So now we should be different here.
I really need somebody.
There we go.
Yeah.
It sounds like one voice with a lot of effects, but it's 3 voices.
Someone just like you.
And they're all helping the main vocal. And that is the basic fundamentals to tracking, processing, stacking your lead vocal tracks. I hope you guys have enjoyed these quick lessons. You can head over to soundcollective.com to get the bigger version where we're going to dive into more detailed tuning, flex pitching, and more intense stacking and backgrounds. Thanks for watching.